most coaches get trained in the X's and O's and how to like set up a field,
Mhm.
but they don't have any training in just how to work with kids,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You're about to get 15 young people, Kevin, for the next 5 weeks,
Yeah.
right? Are you
All right.
ready just to
All right.
invite their full selves, like what they come from with the rest of their day,
Sure, yeah.
so they enjoy it and they have a positive experience with you and their teammates?
Uh-huh. I have friends that coach that different things, not necessarily soccer, but they always talk about how satisfying and how how much it gives back in both ways.
What we're inviting coaches to think about is one, first join coach, right? Parents, family members, older siblings who maybe aren't playing anymore but are there at the field, and also get trained in just working with young people. Here we are full circle where this whole campaign, this call to action is around creating more of those spaces in areas across the country, right? Where young people have that opportunity to fall in love with a sport or a space or make friends,
Mm-hmm.
build life skills, right? And be able to take those on to other places as they grow older.
Yes, coach.
Yeah.
Easy to remember. So joining us today on the Six Pack is Dr. Katlin Okamoto. I have to read your title because it's pretty long. Senior Director of Training, Education, and Evaluation at the U.S. Soccer Foundation. Caitlyn, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for inviting me, and you nailed it.
I did?
Yeah, it's more recent, so I'm also getting acclimated. The long title.
It was a long title, but it's a good one. So tell us all about Yes Coach. We're really fascinated in this.
Yeah, so I work at the U.S. Soccer Foundation, and we are the legacy from the first Men's World Cup that was hosted here in 1994. And our charge has really been to help grow access to the game and to play across the U.S. And we're partnering with the Stand Together Foundation to launch Yes Coach, which is a new initiative to celebrate folks who have decided to contribute to their communities by being youth sport coaches, creating safe environments for young people to play and enjoy and have fun, and also a call to action, right, to get other folks involved through the art of coaching. We have some major events coming up in the United States. The first, I think, most important one related to my foundation is the Men's World Cup in 2026. But we also have the 250th anniversary of the United States. And so, in addition to that, in the years that follow, we have the Rugby World Cup, the LA Olympics in 2028, and hopefully eventually the Women's World Cup when we get to the 2030s. And so, lots of exciting moments around sport in our country. And I think lots of people are going to be wanting to get involved. And Yes Coach is a call to engage in a way that really will impact the community, not just from a national stage, but also bringing those national sort of spotlight down to the local level.
Yeah, cool. I have friends that coach different things, not necessarily soccer, but they always talk about how satisfying and how how much it gives back in both ways. But so, what would you say is the most challenging and the most rewarding part of the work that you do?
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that there's a lot of power in sport and there's a lot of power of the role of the coach. We lean heavily into the idea that the coach is also that trusting adult on site, right? When they show up on the field or the basketball court or the swimming pool deck. And regardless of whether a coach is trained for it or not, right, they're seen as the one who's going to welcome that young person and their families like into that space, right? To enjoy, to play, to make mistakes, to fail, right? To improve. And so what we know is that young people who have access to a mentor report a lot of positive experiences now and as they grow into adulthood. But 1 out of every 3 young people say they don't have a trusting adult in their life.
Wow.
And that number grows as we think about underserved populations. And so what we're inviting coaches to think about is one, first join coach, right? Parents, family members, older siblings who maybe aren't playing anymore but are there at the field. And also get trained in just working with young people. Most coaches get trained in the X's and O's and how to like set up a field, but they don't have any training in just how to work with kids.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
You're about to get 15 young people, Kevin, for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Are you
All right.
ready just to
All right.
invite their full selves, like what they come from with the rest of their day,
Sure, yeah.
so they enjoy it and they have a positive experience with you and their teammates?
Uh-huh. So, you're a doctor
Of social work.
of social work. Okay. Well, I'm guessing that you are an athlete or have coached yourself. I mean, how did you come to this kind of work specifically?
Yeah, I was a bit of a soccer junkie my entire life. I guess I still am. And I played all kinds of sports: basketball, t-ball, soccer, of course, swam, and had a lot of wonderful experience. Had great parents who coached me. My mom was one of my early coaches.
Oh, wow.
But I grew up in a small town in northern New Mexico, and we were a football, baseball, basketball town.
Okay.
And we had soccer, recreational soccer in the fall and the spring. And, I started to get into it when I was like 6, 7, 8 and played. And there was a local community member, he was an artist by trade, whose kids also played. And so he started to host just open training in the community
Uh-huh.
for young people to come out. So in the summers, when we were out of school, we'd meet him in the public park at like 7 a.m. before he went to work, and we'd lug all the gear out of his truck, balls, sandbags, pop-up goals. We'd help put the goals up, and we'd play for a couple hours and put it away, and he'd go to work, and we'd go to the rest of our days.
Mm.
And in those fall and spring seasons, there was no dedicated soccer pitch at the time, so we'd play on the outfield of the softball and baseball fields. And so we'd
Right.
meet him at 5 p.m. On Fridays after work, and he had a big truck with the crossbars and the side posts and the 45-pound sandbags, and we'd go and help him put them together, screw in the goalposts, put on the goal nets, and the reward was we had a place to shoot on goal until it got dark. And so my experience playing was really my own choice, right? I wanted to show up, I wanted to play. Those open sessions were for kids as young as 5, as old as 27, 28,
Mm.
good, bad, boys, girls, new to the sport, old to the sport. Um, and it really created for me this like love for getting better and being in a mixed environment like that. And so as I got older, I got the chance to play in college, high school, then college, and then as I thought about what's next, I started to ask myself, well, why have many of my teammates like moved on to other parts of their life? They were sort of sunsetted their soccer experience or careers until maybe they became parents. And for me, I started to think more about what was the environment like because of the adult leader in that space, right? And that to me was very special. And so here we are full circle where this whole campaign, this call to action is around creating more of those spaces in rural and urban and areas across the country, right? Where young people have that opportunity to fall in love with a sport or a space or make friends,
Hmm.
build life skills, right? And be able to take those on to other places as they grow older.
Cool. I love that. I love that. Now, if there was one thing that you wish that people knew about the organization, what would it be?
Yeah. So, yes, coach is for all sports. It's for everyone.
Okay.
We're the U.S. Soccer Foundation. Obviously, we have big soccer moments coming up here in the U.S., but really it's a call to action across the youth sport ecosystem. It's also really important to know that, like, you don't have to be a coach now or think of yourself as a coach, right? Some of the best coaches are teachers, educators, parents, folks who have never played the sport before,
Uh-huh.
but care about kids and care about their community. And being a part of a sports ecosystem, right, can really help sort of foster this culture of contribution within a community and really help strengthen that social fabric, right, that
Mm.
that exists in your local YMCA, your local Parks and Rec, right, whatever that organization may be. And so, I guess my call to action for folks would be like, if you're listening to this and saying, "Well, that's not for me," I would just ask you to think again, right? What part can you play in creating a really positive ecosystem for youth to play and participate in sport in your own community?
Cool.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of anecdotal stories that you have about what you've seen in terms of just in general the impact of sports teams, coaches, anything that either happened in your life or somebody else's life?
Yeah. Well, I've been at the U.S. Soccer Foundation for about 3 years, but the idea of a coach mentor has predated me for the last 30 years
Oh,
since the foundation's been around.
right.
And we have some really wonderful anecdotes about the power of having an early coach mentor in a young person's life. One of our flagship after school program, Soccer for Success, one of our first sites was in Houston Parks and Rec
Mhm.
about 16 years ago. And there was a young boy, Adrian, who that was his first opportunity to play organized soccer. And so he had a coach mentor. He played several seasons. And as he got older and aged out of the program, he decided that he wanted to stay connected. So he got trained to be a coach mentor for the program. A few years later, he became the trainer of coach mentors for Houston Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And a few years after that, he became a national facilitator to train trainers and coach mentors across the country.
Uh-huh.
He's now in charge of all of the soccer, including Soccer for Success for Houston, Parks and Rec. He trains across all of our programs, coach mentors across the country, and he really attributes, right, why he's where he's at now because of his early experience with someone who embraced that role as a mentor as much as they did a coach of soccer.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's great to see that having that kind of impact.
it is.
And how can people find out about the organization, help, or volunteer, or get how do we check it out?
Yeah, so there's a landing page. Yes, coach.
Yes,
Uh,
coach.
not
Easy to remember.
yes, coach, the command style, but yeah, yes, coach, join us.
Yes,
Right, we're
coach.
creating a community celebration around folks who are diving in. There are resources there to connect with other folks across the country who are also maybe dipping their toes into coaching. And there will also be a lot of resources to get trained, right? To make sure you feel prepared when you decide, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm gonna volunteer this fall for my son's volleyball team, right? And be the assistant coach. We have training that folks can take to be prepared to show up as a mentor, right? And help foster that connection and life skill development while they're working with those young people. So check it out. There'll be a lot of marketing that happens through our website with Stand Together Foundation, Yes Coach, and the U.S. Soccer Foundation.
Well, thank you, Caitlin. Thank you so much, and thanks for the great work that you're doing. And I appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me here on the Six Pack.
Thanks for having us.